Hello there. So my name is Mecca of the SK Marketing Firm, and in this video what we're going to do is we're going to show you what Affordable Tree Services is doing, also known as a Climb Above, is doing in order to get more calls in Aurora. So why did we pick these guys? So we're going to start off by doing what most people would do. So if a tree service fell on anyone's house, or if a tree fell down, what would most people do? They would most likely pick up their iPhone and type in tree service Aurora or tree removal Aurora or whatever. So let's just see what shows up. So if we type that in, we see that when we type this in, you see some ads. These are ads right here, and you see a Climb Above Tree Service, or also known as Affordable Tree Service. Then you see Native and you see United. When you go to the organic searches, you see a Climb Above again, United, and Native, of course. Then you see Home Advisor. So why is it important that you figure out how these guys are getting so many calls and you're not getting so many calls? Well, we're going to pick up this article from Home Advisor. So Home Advisor says that the top cities that request tree service for Home Advisor, number 4 is Aurora, Colorado. So obviously number 1 is Denver, which is like right next to you guys, and then next is Aurora, and you guys are number 4. So what does that mean? That means that a lot of people want tree service here. Even Home Advisor shows up like right here. So if you're not able to get here, or in these top spots, you're not going to get many phone calls, because when people are typing in tree service Aurora, they are not going to go and click on page 3 or 2. They're going to stay on page 1. Now, why is it important to be on page 1 in the first place? This article right here, this article is titled "Number 1 Position in Google is 33% of search traffic." Well, if you look at it, it says the online ad network Chitika right here. The online ad network right here, Chitika, which is this one right here. If you scroll down, it says that the percentage of traffic changes based off the position you are in the search results. So if you scroll down, you see how, based off the percentages, the number 1 position gets 33% of all the traffic. Well, what does traffic mean? It means that if 100 people are looking for your website, so let's say we type in tree service Aurora, Colorado. If 100 people type this in, they're going to start going to all these sites down here. Some of them are going to go here, some of them are going to go here, some of them are going to go here, and then some of them are going to go on page 2. Now, what this article is saying, that based off your position, you're able to predict how many people are going to come and go to your site. So what does that mean? The number 1 position, if 100 people go, 33 of them will go here, 18 of them will go here, and 11 of them will go here. So if we put those numbers to what we see in these results, 33, 18, 11. So Native 33, Climb Above 18, and then 11. So if we put it here, we go down over here for these new results, 33, 18, and 11. So we see Affordable Tree Service has 33. Just like that, they have 33. Home Advisor gets 18. So if you're not a Home Advisor, you may want to, because they're getting some calls. Then United Tree Service gets 11. Native gets 8. So you're able to see how, based off your position, that is able to determine how many people are going to call your business. So if you were able to get seen in these top search results, or you were able to get seen here because the top ad gets a lot of calls, obviously you can do it the wrong way. If you know how to get yourself in the top results for the ads, the top results for the maps, and by top results we mean in the first 3, because if you click on this, you see how there's a bunch of other things here. These guys are not getting nearly as many calls as the top 3 that are showing up. So again, in the top of the maps, and then again in top of the organic searches, which are down here, will get you a lot of calls. So let's just analyze a Climb Above, and let's see what they're doing in order to get their website seen, and how they're able to get so many phone calls. And obviously the numbers of why this is important is, you know how much a tree service job is. So let's say that you cut a tree down, and tree jobs are able to range anywhere from like 500 to like tens of like $10,000. We already know that. So let's just say that you cut a tree down. Let's say every job that you get profits you $1,500. So if you make $1,500 profit, how much is one extra job worth to you? Think about these numbers. Let's say that right now you're getting like 4 jobs a week. What would that mean if you could get an extra job a week? If your position went up and you got one extra job every single week, that's 1,500 times 4 because there's 4 weeks in a month. And that would mean $6,000 more you just made just by getting these positions. Let's say you get twice as many calls. So instead of you getting 8 people calling you per week, you have 16 people calling you per week. And if you get half of those people, that's 4 new jobs every single week. That's $6,000 more you get every week, which is $24,000 you make every single month, which is pretty much almost an extra $300,000 at the end of the year. That's if you know your math. So you can see how just going from 2 to 1 is already double the amount of calls. So if you were position 2 and you went up to position 1, you would get twice as many phone calls almost. If you're down here at number 10 and you went up to number 3, you would get almost 5 times as many people calling you. If you went from number 9 and you went up to number 1, you would essentially get 16 times more people calling your business, which would equal a big jump in income. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. If you go from page 10 to page 1, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars. So there's a lot of money to be made in this stuff. Now, if you're on page 2, we're going to scroll down to page 2. You see how in the article they say that the number 1 position gets 91%. No, page 1 gets 91%, number 2 gets less than 5. What does that mean? That means if 100 people are searching for that word, 91 of them will stay on page 1. Only 5 of them will go to page 2. And don't forget, page 2 has 10 websites there, so they're all fighting for those 5%. Would you rather fight for 91%? Would you rather fight for 5%? Think about it. They're fighting for a smaller piece. Why not just be in the top and get a big amount of this large pie instead of fighting for a small piece? So you want to be on page 1 because that's where most of the customers are going. Now let's go and let's analyze the person who's getting a lot of calls, which is your very own A Climb Above here and here. So we type in the site and we have them right here. So you're probably saying, what's this thing that you guys have on top of the screen right here? This is a tool that we use to analyze sites, and we're going to explain how it works. So this G, that's the Google symbol right there, and it has 39. So what does that mean? It means that A Climb Above has 39 pages that Google recognizes. So if you click on it, you see that they have services, all this and that. So what this is saying is that Google, when they look at A Climb Above, they notice that they have like 39 pages of words. So you see here they have a blog, and that blog is probably what's given them so many pages. And the important thing about having a lot of pages that actually mean something is that you look more credible. If you have more pages on your site that speak about things that make sense, it makes your website look more stronger. It makes it look more credible, and Google wants sites that are credible. Let's move on. If we look at their homepage, so we just type in home, we look at their homepage, we see that they have something that we like. They have a call to action, so you're able to call them immediately. And what you want to do is you want to make sure your website is easy for people to call, because if it's not, you're losing out on a lot of money. And if you scroll down here, you see that they have a lot of words on their home page. And obviously this directs us back to their different pages. A lot of words on the home page is like around 1,500 words. So if you're able to get 1,500 words in your page, it would definitely make your site stand out, and it would make it look a lot better. So this site probably is not breaking 1,500. It's probably staying around 700 words or something like that. However, regardless, it's a decent amount, and if you want your homepage to stand up, you want to make sure that people call you immediately, and you have a lot of words, which will allow your site to stand up and look a lot better. In addition to that, if you have a lot of pages, it makes it look better. However, not just having a bunch of pages doesn't equal getting your site up, because we're going to go into the next tip. You see that LD? That's pointing. That's telling us about essentially their backlink profile. So what's the importance of backlinks? Backlinks are essentially people who are voting for your site. It's essentially like saying, for example, imagine that you were trying to sell some shoes, some basketball shoes. Backlinks are essentially word of mouth referrals. So let's just say, except this is on the internet. So imagine that this guy had someone, let's go back to the shoe analogy. Let's say you want to sell shoes. If you had an endorsement, would you want an endorsement from 100 high school basketball player saying, I like his shoes, buy his shoes? Or would you rather have one endorsement from LeBron James saying, I like his shoes? Who would you want? What would you want for your endorsement? Would you rather have 100 high school basketball players saying, I like his shoes? Or would you rather have LeBron James saying, I like your shoes? Chances are you probably say LeBron James. Why? Because LeBron James, we all know how great LeBron James is at basketball. And because he's so great at basketball, we probably will attribute what he says at that, as far as we'll probably assign credibility to what he says is great in the basketball realm. And if that's your shoes, then people are gonna, you're essentially, your shoes are more credible. That's the same thing here. When you have more sites that are boosting you up, you want to make sure that you don't have a bunch of high school basketball players boosting you up instead of having like a LeBron James. And this guy, he has some sites boosting up. However, let's see how strong or how credible they are. So we're going to go to a site here called Majestic, and we typed in their site, and we see that their trust is nothing. However, their citation flows are pretty high. So what does that mean? They have a bunch of high schoolers saying that their site is awesome, saying that their shoes are awesome. And by shoes, we're talking about, and don't forget, understand that when we're saying shoes, we're talking about their website. That was just an analogy to explain the concept. So essentially the same thing is here. They have other sites voting for their site. Other sites are saying their site is good. And according to these stats that we see here, it seems like those other sites are not trustworthy. And however, they do have a lot of people voting. They do have a lot of sites saying that they're great. This is essentially like saying, in the shoe analogy, the high school basketball team is saying, hey, these shoes are great. However, you don't trust them because they're all high school basketball people. Like, you don't even know if they're a star. They could be anybody who plays high school basketball, and you know that pool is large. So you don't assign any credibility to that. However, if they had this, however, this was higher, it would be like, oh, this may be a LeBron James referring them, and that's credible. So what you could do is, if you wanted to get your site to beat this site right here, if you wanted to crush them, what you could do is essentially beat your site, get your site to be more credible. That way you're able to crush these other sites and essentially show them that you know what you're doing. If you get your site to have a higher trust flow and essentially beat out their site in terms of credibility, your site would go up, and then you could start enjoying the benefits of having a higher search result and essentially getting more money. Because as you know, imagine if your calls went from down here to up here, you would be making a lot more money. That'd be hundreds of thousands of dollars in your pocket. You could make an extra $20,000 a month if you could just go from here to here in profits, if you could just do that. So that's pretty much the concept we want to explain to you. Now, if you're wondering who's the person who's talking behind this screen, this is the person who's talking to you behind this screen. Name is Mecca, SK Marketing Firm, SK Marketing, and call number right here. And essentially what we're doing is we're essentially explaining how you're able to get more calls, get more business. And the whole point of us doing this is that a lot of business owners are losing and they don't know how to get business up here. And instead of doing it the long way and taking years, because it may take years for you to go from like here to here. What personally I've done is I was able to get a site from like here to here in like 6 months, something like that. So it's not hard to do. However, a lot of people, they want to keep doing it their way and they want to spend a lot of money and they never get results. So we hope you found this video helpful, and the main concepts to take away are, people are looking for these words. Home Advisor says that Aurora has a lot of money in it. These guys are getting a lot of people, a lot of customers, because their site is first. Their site is on the first page where most of the people are, and then on the first page their site is getting most of the customers. So because they're getting most of the customers, they're getting 16 times more than these guys, which means they're making 16 times, they have 16 more chances to sell. So if they're getting 16 more calls, they can get 16 more customers, and they can get how much profit they make per tree is like crazy, out of this world. So in order to do that is you have to follow their site, get some more influential content, have some better pages on here, have more content on these pages, have a call to action, that way people call you instantly and don't waste your time. And then you want to make sure that your site is credible, because if your site is a lot more credible, more trust flow, your site, and not just citation flow, you can actually go up these ranks and essentially take over the market. And if you do it right and you know how to do it professionally, you're able to take your site from down here to up here within like 6 to 8 months, maybe up to a year at most. And then there's other ways to do it. If you know how to do it really well, you're actually able to get calls coming to you within 2 days. And that, you heard that right. You can do it within a year. Some companies, we've seen that it took them 10 years to finally do it. And you can wait 10 years. Then some companies you can do it in a year. And then some companies you can do it, you can actually get calls starting in 2 days, literally like within 2 days. And you can get a lot of calls and make a nice 5 figures in business within a month. So we hope that you found this video helpful. Again, you already know who's the person talking behind this. We hope you found this video helpful. And we just want to make sure that you're able to succeed, okay?